Some demographic forecasts have predicted that the Russian population will decrease from today's 142 million to around 125 million by 2025, and possibly even going below the 100 million by 2050. One exception is the year 2009, in which there was actually an increase between 15,000 and 25,000 people. But this increase was explained by the influx of immigrants and decline in mortality rate. The modern demographic crisis in Russia has its origins in the fall of the Soviet Union. Russia has still not recovered from the economic, political, and social shock of the collapse of the USSR. Aside from the economic disaster of the 1990s, the biggest consequence of the dissolution of the USSR may have been psychological. This had a big impact on the social lives of the Russian people. Russians simply stopped having children in the 1990s. The birth rates plummeted by 46% between 1978 and 1993. Furthermore, the Russian society became generally tolerant of divorce and abortion, and Russia experienced high rates of both. According to the official figures for 2009, there were 1.2 million abortions versus 1.7 million births. And keep in mind that many abortions may have gone unreported. The drop in birth rates was followed by an increase in mortality rates, simply because the robust Soviet health system crumbled in the 1990s. Russia soon experienced an increase in social problems like suicide or alcoholism, which already was high, and narcotics, particularly heroin, and increase in communicable diseases such as AIDS, tuberculosis, and syphilis. Because of these social problems, the mortality rate jumped 28% between 1978 and 1993. But the last couple of years there have been some positive developments in Russia. The population decline has slowed down a bit. But the thing is, 31.5% of Russia is above 50 years, and life expectancy is at 61.4 years for males and 73.9 for females. So no matter what improvements the Russian government makes, it is already too late for 31.5% of the population. Given this fact, within 10 years, Russia will have lost a significant amount of its population. So there is an ongoing demographic disaster in Russia. And one option that the Russians have really been using is immigration. But I am not talking about foreign immigrants from Central Asia or the Caucasus. No, I am referring to the immigration of ethnic Russians living in various former Soviet republics. In 2006, Russia designed a new immigration law which encouraged this kind of immigration. In the same year, about 186,000 ethnic Russians in former Soviet republics immigrated to Russia. In 2007, this number rose to 180,000 people, and in 2008 another 180,000 people. This is a substantial increase compared to the 1990s. Back then there were 140,000 migrations annually. But now Russia is running out of ethnic Russians willing to return to the motherland from other former Soviet republics. Russia has the possibility to get more immigrants, especially Muslims from Central Asia and the Caucasus, but not ethnic Russians. And Moscow is unwilling to do this because there already are daily ethnic clashes in Russia. So Moscow is worried about the increase of its Muslim population. Another card that Russia has been using is rewarding childbirth with cash. What this basically means is the more children you give birth to, the more money you will receive. But the amount of money you receive is only a fraction of what it costs to raise a child. So obviously not many people take up this deal. Also, the economic crisis of 2008 had a major impact in Russian budget deficits. So it's unclear for how much longer Russia actually can fund this program. But I want to go back to the positive population increase of 2009. As I explained earlier, it was mainly because of immigration and decline of mortality rate. But the third reason for this increase is because of the new generation of fertile Russians. This generation is now at the childbearing age. At this moment, the people between the age of 20 and 29 comprise about 17% of the Russian population. The birth rate of this generation increased by 28% between the years 2000 and 2008. Basically, 2009 was the peak of Russian fertile generation, and this is a trend that will not be repeated anytime soon. So Russia is dealing with a major demographic crisis. The governmental plans are hard to sustain and are in fact not even effective. And as Russia's demography weakens, the Russian state will adapt to a more aggressive attitude and take more aggressive measures to balance the situation. This was a Caspian Report by me, Shirvan. Thank you for watching. Sağ ol.